Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely mind-bending mathematical framework that literally redefines the very fabric of our universe. We're looking at pressure-mediated gravity, specifically version 9, or PMG v9. And look, this isn't just some minor tweak to existing physics. It is a massive upgrade. We are moving from purely descriptive models to a strict first principles fluid physics framework. It's wild.
Okay, let's just get right into it. Standard physics has taught us for generations that space is, well, an absolute void, right? Just a vast, cold, empty vacuum holding all the stars and planets. But PMG v9 asks this revolutionary question. What if we're actually swimming through a secret cosmic ocean? What if the vacuum of space isn't empty at all? So let's contrast the old model with this incredibly elegant new framework. Standard physics completely relies on this idea of absolute nothingness. PMG v9, on the other hand, replaces that nothingness with something highly specific and mathematically rigorous. It introduces a frictionless superfluid. Basically, we're shifting from a universe of empty space to one that's completely filled with this hidden, fluid medium.
Now, to really grasp this, we need to quickly establish what a superfluid actually is. Think about a normal liquid for a second. If you take a spoon and stir a mug of water, the friction in the water eventually makes it stop spinning. But a superfluid has absolutely zero friction. Zero. If you stirred it, it would literally spin forever. And PMG v9 suggests our entire universe is suspended in this invisible, infinite, frictionless liquid.
Moving on to part 1, the universal speed limit and crossing the threshold.
So, if the universe is full of this frictionless fluid, what actually happens when massive objects like whole galaxies move through it? Well, think about dropping food coloring into a gently moving river. Slow, gentle movements create those smooth, straight lines, which physicists call laminar flow. But PMG v9 introduces this really specific mathematical threshold, known as the vacuum Reynolds number. Once a galaxy moves fast enough to hit that exact speed limit, the fluid instantly snaps. It just breaks apart into these chaotic, spinning space whirlpools. And what's so cool about this is it replaces the old manual guesses of where gravity starts with a perfectly natural, elegant, fluid dynamic threshold. And this brilliantly illustrates how normal matter actually interacts with this fluid. You see, older versions of these theories really struggled with the math here, but PMG v9 introduces something called covariant coupling. Imagine pulling a rough rock through thick, sticky honey. The rock naturally drags some of that honey along with it. Covariant coupling is essentially the mathematical equivalent of that. It creates this clean, consistent dragging effect between normal matter and the space fluid, perfectly fixing all those unit mismatches and dimensional inconsistencies that totally plague the older theories.
All right, let's jump to part 2, rethinking dark matter, the cosmic net.
This framework actually gives us a completely new explanation for one of science's biggest mysteries, what we mistakenly call dark matter. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that dark matter might not be some solid wall of heavy, invisible particles after all. Instead, PMG v9 defines it as a vortex glass. Picture a tightly packed crowd of those tiny, spinning space whirlpools we were just talking about, all clustered together like a room jam full of marbles. Because they're spinning and packed in so tightly, they pull on each other. This creates a literal physical tension in the fabric of space itself, kind of like a super tight net or a stretched out rubber sheet. Now, let's look at how this tension messes with light. If you were to shine a laser beam right past a spinning whirlpool of water in a cloudy cup, that beam actually physically bends around the vortex. Well, similarly, this vortex glass tension bends passing starlight. And honestly, what's incredible about version 9 is that this bending isn't just some rough estimate. The theory beautifully derives an exact 5/2 gravitational boost factor, a massive magnification effect purely from first principles fluid physics. It literally acts exactly like a giant magnifying glass floating out there in space.
Let's move on to part 3, the cosmic echo, hunting for ripples.
So all of this mind-blowing math brings us to the ultimate question. How do we actually prove this invisible fluid exists? Well, think about how sound waves travel. If you shout in an empty room, your voice echoes normally through the air. But if you try shouting underwater, those sound waves are distinctly altered because they're traveling through a liquid, right? Light and energy waves in space behave the exact same way.
Take the cosmic microwave background, or CMB. This is literally the baby picture of our universe, the very oldest light out there. Because this ancient light had to travel through this cosmic space fluid for billions of years, PMG v9 mathematically predicts an exact, verifiable change in that light. Specifically, it predicts an amplitude excess, basically a little extra ripple or boost of exactly plus 0.7% to plus 5.8% in the CMB data.
And the theory gets even more remarkably precise than that. We aren't just looking for a general bump. It predicts an 8 sigma detectable amplitude excess, which, if you know statistics, 8 sigma is undeniable, absolute mathematical proof. Plus, it predicts a highly specific pi/4 phase shift, or a distinctive twist, in the light's polarization. Finding this exact, perfectly predicted shift would be a massive smoking gun. It would instantly elevate this fluid theory way above any standard cold dark matter models.
Which brings us to our final section, Part 4, the ultimate test, the CMB S4 experiment.
To actually find this incredibly microscopic ripple in the oldest light in the universe, scientists are gearing up for an epic battle against cosmic interference. Enter the CMB S4. Massive ground-based observatories are currently being built in Antarctica and Chile, and they're deploying a wild arsenal. We're talking 500,000 superconducting detectors, all cooled down to an unfathomable 100 millikelvin. Why so cold? Because they have to fight off highly polarized galactic dust, crazy atmospheric noise, and signal leakage that just naturally wants to corrupt these incredibly delicate low-frequency signals.
Because beating that cosmic noise, it's no small feat. By casting a massive net across up to 70% of the entire sky and cross-validating multi-frequency coverage all the way from 20 up to 300 gigahertz, scientists can finally track it down. They are literally continually rotating half-wave plates just to freeze out the atmospheric fluctuations. This whole pipeline, backed up by advanced ab initio simulations, is flawlessly designed to catch complex line-of-sight dust variations before they accidentally mask that critical pi/4 phase shift we're desperately looking for. As the source material wonderfully sums it up, if they find these fluid ripples, it will prove that space isn't empty after all. And that's the whole shebang right there. If the CMB-S4 experiment successfully isolates these precise, mathematically predicted signals, it fundamentally validates PMG version 9 as our new baseline for reality. The math checks out, the fluid is real, and physics is forever changed. And that leaves us with a truly profound question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. Next time you look up at the stars at night, ask yourself, how does it change your perspective of the night sky and of our place within it, knowing we might literally just be gazing through an infinite, frictionless, cosmic ocean? It is an absolutely fascinating thought. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into PMG v9, and as always, keep questioning the universe around you.